If you're stuck as your company's top closer, chained to every deal, this video is your way out. Because if you're a founder and you're still the best salesperson in your company, you don't have a business. You have a really demanding, really underpaid job that you can't quit. There's a word for jobs that you can't quit. And if that hits a little too close to home, stay with me because this video is going to change perhaps lots. I'm Carlos. I've spent 13 years building sales teams. In that time, helped amazing clients add over $3 billion in annual revenue, supported more than $1 billion in exit, 500 million in 2025 alone. And I've worked with dozens of founders and CEOs who felt exactly like you might be feeling right now, stuck, chained to their own calendar. And I've learned that there's no success without sales, not in business. And there's no success without freedom, not for the founder. And there's no freedom from sales without a team. And there's no team, no high-performing one anyway, without systems. This video is the first in a series, the philosophies of selling, of establishing and scaling sales teams. Every episode, we're going to go deep on one principle that turns potential into predictable growth. By the end of the series, you'll have a playbook, a system to build out a scalable elite sales team, one that's ready for a high-quality sales leader, one that can afford that leader, one with all the right rhythms and habits and methodologies in place for that leader. Before that, I want to tell you where all this came from, because 15 years ago, I was on top of the world. I was an investment banker, high pressure, high performance, high ego. I thought I understood success. The smartest guy in the room, right? Golden ticket into any boardroom or C-suite office I wanted, creating growth and shareholder value for companies. What go wrong? And as I stepped into entrepreneurship, I learned something real fast. Even the best designed buildings built from the best materials are going to collapse when they're built on sand. I thought I knew how to sell because I had sold. Massive difference. I'd sold through being smart, having passion, selling to layups, taking business rather than winning business. I'm a good communicator. I like to think I'm smart. Well, we all do, right? I'm curious. I've got a cool sense of humor. These are all good, but let's not be fooled. They're not a selling system. I had no system, no leverage, and honestly, no real sales skills, no tools to control a conversation with someone who thinks they know better than me, no strategies to harness that curiosity, no deep appreciation of why people buy, how people buy, how people and companies make decisions, how they talk about money, the subtle differences between a B2C sale, a B-sale, and enterprise sale, how to hold people, especially buyers, to the commitments they make. I mean, let's be clear, I don't subscribe to the adage that buyers are liars. Buyers are human, and humans lie, especially when they feel scared, manipulated, attacked, worried, uncomfortable, and that's most buyers. You know, corporate life rewards smart-minded, rewarded it real well, but founders and businesses, these are rewarded through sales. That's it. Sales solves 99% of business problems. I'm solving for founders who are still the top salesperson. Growth is chained to them. They can't take a vacation without the pipeline going cold. They can't hire because they're still closing every deal. Or worse, founders moonlighting as the sales leader, part-time attention, part-time result, hiring under pressure, and even when they hire, they can't onboard, teach someone how to sell. They don't know how to sell. They only know how a founder sells, with enormous passion, with a deep empathy for their customer, with a full understanding of every feature, every benefit, why it's there, what's not there, why not. A business that depends on you isn't a business, it's a beautiful prison cell, an underpaid job you can't quit. And that was me. Maybe that's you right now. And I'm telling you, it's a glorious way out. Promise we make every client is simple. Elite selling, freedom, engineered through structure. In 18 months, maybe 24, you can go from chaos to culture, from founder-led to founder-free. We've got a process, foundation, momentum, performance. We build a sales system that scales. One methodology, leads flow to pipeline, pipeline flows to close flows to customer success and advocacy. And underneath all of it, leadership rhythms, accountability. Jocko said it best, freedom is dividend of discipline. That's what we build with our clients. Discipline now, freedom later. And I want to share how I learned this, because I learned it the hard way. I want to go back to 2012, 2013. I had the most amazing corporate path in front of me. I loved my job. My team was highly rewarding. It was very challenging. It was very interesting. It was different every day. And the people I worked with, wow. High stakes, exciting role. And I gave high performance, but I traded that all in at the end of 2013 for this entrepreneurial journey. Now that's a high stakes bet. And remember that ego, fed so fat on high performance accolade. Put that into an entrepreneurial setting and it collapses. You've probably heard people say pressure's a privilege. Tony Robbins, and sure, maybe. Pressures also will burst pipes. It exposes what's missing. For me, what was missing was humility, real selling behaviors, a growth mindset, actual skills. And then we ran out of money with a family. Carolina, soon to be my wife, 3 kids, 2 dogs, no money, behind everywhere, including rent. Christmas Eve, Merry Christmas. I got a letter, eviction. Kids were small enough to not remember this. Disaster though, right? Humbled, hungry, nowhere to hide. Time to really look at myself in the mirror. Am I going to do this right? January the 2nd, I got evicted. Happy New Year. Your worst day is your best day, right? I think they're right. People don't believe me when I tell them this, so I dug out the photo. A photo I took time of the order pinned to my door, the front door of the house. That year, I'd bought a house. In 24 months, I'd paid it off. When you can sell, wow, the economics that accompany that. Selling isn't convincing. That's what most people get wrong. Selling is discovery. It's discovering the truth, inspiring action. I discovered the real magic in our methodology. I learned about control, psychology, behavior, belief, and I realized something about selling. Best salespeople aren't closers. They're architects. Architects of conversations that inspire great decisions from people who wouldn't have made a great decision without my help. Conversations are the tool of the seller, not pitches, not decks, not product info, brochures. Conversation. Bring an unreasonable level of commitment to a process, huge energy in lead creation, humility, curiosity, an endless desire for self-development, and you can achieve anything in selling. And I did. Huge sales, code breaking, amazing for a few years until I realized that I'd swap one set of handcuffs for another. Sure, I could sell. I could teach others to sell. That was my business after all. Could I build a team? Building a team means understanding the system, understanding the buyer, understanding the seller, making it all work together through a team and a system. It's the humans, not the product or the service that matter. Human on both sides of that sale. I learned that leading others doesn't mean handing them the playbook, expecting results. The same playbook will create different results in different hands. Why? Because processes alone, skill alone does not equal outcome. And all that knowledge, that accountability, all that knowledge is just entertainment. I became obsessed with building, how to turn skill into habit, obsessed with lead generation, pipeline, commitments, goals, and above all, truth, not happy ears. You know, when you're analyzing performance and pipeline, it's truth that's important, not happy ears, not hopium, truth. I also discovered the rhythms of sales leadership. A very high-performing client introduced me to them, and the impact on the team was breathtaking. Of course, the team resisted high levels of accountability. Every team's going to resist high levels of accountability, high performance data capture, high degree of pipeline visibility. Of course they did. Their power to create change was exceptional. The right things, the small steps done without exception, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. It's amazing. Daily huddles, weekly scorecards, monthly resets. When behavior becomes consistent, it becomes culture. And rhythm creates momentum and mastery and revenue and growth, systems, discipline, rhythm, accountability. I didn't want to build a team that performed for me. I wanted to build a team that performed without me. Real freedom isn't having nothing to do. It's knowing your team will execute whether you're there or not. That's scalable behavior. That's the goal. See these testimonials, hundreds of them. Go on our website and you'll find all these testimonials. Everything I've told you, the eviction, comeback, the testimonials, none of it would have happened without what I'm about to share. These are the 5 pillars. These 5 pillars are the difference between founders who scale and founders who burn out. Stay with me. I stopped running systems and started thinking of why they worked, what beliefs sat underneath them, what mindsets made them stick. And these are the 5 pillars. These pillars carry the core belief that freedom is engineered. It doesn't happen by accident. You build it deliberately. You will it into reality. So let me walk you through the 5 pillars. Pillar 1 is leverage. Getting more output for the same input. You can't scale hours, but you can scale impact. Systems, people, tools that compound. Hustle as a seller, as a founder. Hustle's going to get you maybe 6 figures, but leverage builds legacy. 7 figures, 8 figures. Any quota worth its salt. Way too heavy to be carried by talent alone. It's the system that carries the weight. Or the quota's way too small. If you're still the winner, talent, the hero, you're not the owner, you're an employee. I've said it a few times. Pillar 2 is rhythms. Consistency over intensity every time. Performance is in the daily, weekly, monthly cadence. 90 days of consistency and it becomes a habit. 120 days, it starts compounding. By 540 days, discipline becomes identity for the sellers. I've seen it dozens of times. Collective identity of those sellers becomes culture. The momentum that builds, that's the reward for the consistency that you as the leader have to bring. Momentum isn't bought by talent. It's not luck, it's consistency. Pillar 3 is accountability. This is the multiplier. Ownership of the result without any excuses. Accountability turns knowledge into habit, into results. It's a non-negotiable rhythm. When everything is optional, nothing scales. For example, I have a saying with my teams: no role play, no payday. That's the guys who work for me. You either practice or you don't get paid. That's accountability. Nobody wants role plays. No one wants to practice like that. But professionals practice. What's the phrase? Amateurs practice till they get it right. Professionals practice till they can't get it wrong. We have a ton of these principles to sell by. If it's not in the CRM, it didn't happen. We pay you for the behaviors. Unreasonable results require unreasonable commitments. Accountability is the rocket fuel to our selling methodology, and it comes from the leader. Pillar 4 is mindset. Conviction over comfort. The strength of your conviction tracks the depth of your pipeline. I've seen it over and over and over again. Emotional control equals commercial control. If you fall apart when you hear a no, you'll never build a pipeline that's sustainable. And the way to make sure you don't fall apart if you hear a no is you've got a thick pipeline underneath you. Rejection is just data then. But detachment from the microcosm of the result of an individual deal can only happen, especially in a high stakes deal, only happens when you're protected by that pipeline. When you do it, when your team can be detached from the result of the microcosm of an individual deal, combined with the high ambition and drive to land that deal through unreasonable efforts, that will bring you dominance of your market. A seller's mindset is the operating system of their performance. If the operating system's broke, nothing else runs. That's why belief is so important. Belief, it's the fuel. Belief in the company, belief in the product, the market, the prospect. Most importantly, belief in oneself. Rocket fuel. The sellers need to believe in themselves. The leaders need to believe in themselves. Fifth pillar is the evolution. This one's hard on the founder, the owner. This is the shift from hero to architect. The hardest transition to leadership is no longer being the hero. Building a team of heroes, letting go of control, and gaining compounded growth in return. The juice really is worth the squeeze, but it feels like you're losing control. Really, you're just losing the limitation inherent in being that hero seller, that super rep. Your company should be growing faster. If it isn't, if your calendar is slowing growth, bottleneck. Over the coming weeks, we're going to cover our core philosophies. Tactical, psychological, philosophical. Every week we're going to go deep in one principle. By the end, you'll have a system for building an elite sales team, kind of structure that drives valuation, creates exits, and gives you back your time. This solution, this performance edge solution, is for the refuse to settle for survive. It's for founders and entrepreneurs and sellers ready to evolve. On the other side of these disciplines is destiny. Let's unlock that limitless potential of your company, of your team, of yourself together. If you're a founder or a CEO who's ready to stop being the bottleneck, who wants to build a sales team that actually performs, subscribe to this channel, hit like. I'll see you in the next one.